You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Ahrens. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Fishing the DMV. I'm your host, Thomas Ahrens, and we're heading back to the Susquehanna River with the man, the myth, the legend. He owns a fantastic guide service. You know him. Jake, how are you doing, boss?
Man, I'm doing great. It's been a minute since I've been on the show, but I appreciate you having me back.
Dude, I'm even doing everything. You got a day job, wife, kid, you fish, you have a kayak service, and apparently you're a PGA golfer too. So I don't know how you have the time.
Well, I don't have a kayak anymore.
That's an end of an era.
I officially crossed over to the dark side.
How does that make you feel?
I'm not unhappy about it. One of the things that I can't do with my kid is go kayak fishing because he doesn't really enjoy it. And we haven't gotten out on the boat a whole lot because I don't really think he enjoys that either, but I think he does it just for dad. But one thing he does enjoy is going golfing. So we've been working on that handicap a little bit. And I have more than one handicap, so.
What's more expensive, bass fishing or golf?
It depends on how much you're doing it. If you're fishing 5 days a week, I think fishing's more expensive. But if you're playing golf 2 to 5 days a week, you have to constantly replenish baits, and
yes.
if you don't have a sponsor that's giving you that shit for free, I feel like fishing is more expensive.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
And on top of that, if you don't have, like, if you have a boat, then you're looking at fuel.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it doesn't cost me no money to go out there and walk my fat ass around a golf course.
Well, yeah, but you're also part of, like, the prestigious country club, so you have to also factor that in as well.
Oh, no, I am not a prestigious country club member. I would like to be. You know, speaking of that, if there's any country club membership directors that are currently watching this video, I would like to offer an opportunity to, I could bring my clients to the club and treat them to a day of fishing and playing some golf if they would so choose. If anybody wants to slide me a membership, I would be gracious.
Well, and speaking of that membership, a great video for that. You, Trey, and Jeff Little you guys go 18 holes. Who's first, second, third?
So I don't think Jeff actually golfed. So I would say he's definitely going to be dead last. He'll probably figure it out by the end. But man, the other thing too is Jeff is such an analytical thinker.
Yeah.
I think he might get in his own head and just completely crash out before the turn. Trey and I have actually played golf together, and Trey can hit the ball really far because he's a giant human. But I think I might edge him out a little bit there.
There you go. Okay. Wow. That's a dark horse. I would give Jeff a little bit. I don't know. You're right. The crash out though, that's real. Golf can spin you out real quick.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this isn't throwing a jerk bait in fucking 32-degree weather. Like Jeff can sit there with a spinning rod in his hand and speak to the fish with the line, barely touching the pad of his finger. And he's right there. Like I've literally been on the water with Jeff in the wintertime, and I promise you I've witnessed this. What I'm about to reenact for you. Cast. Right? And then he lets it sit. 30 seconds go by. A minute goes by. He's got the line touching the pad of his finger. And I'm looking at him. And I'm like, you haven't done anything. He's like, yeah, I haven't. I'm like, why did your voice lower? Like, why? Like, I don't understand what's going on. And he's like, I'm waiting. He's right there. He's looking at it. He wants to eat it. I can see him. He can see it. And I'm like, I think you're taking this too serious. Like, I think this is, like, first off, Jeff, it's fucking cold. And I think we should just go get some lunch or some shit. And he's like, no, the days in the winter are shorter, so we have to stay out the entire time it's daylight. This is why I don't fish in the wintertime. Jeff ruined fishing in the wintertime for me. I'm not that hardcore. Like, I love to fish, but no, like Jeff, they're literally the iceberg that took out the Titanic just went down the Susquehanna River, and like, you just want to sit out here and hold on to a jerk bait and try to convince one fish to eat in 8 hours of daylight.
Well, I mean, you say that, but with the water flows, you pretty much have to like wait until this time of year, right? Plus you have a
Well,
jet boat now.
we just got the rain, so that makes it a little bit better. But for majority, I mean, July, August, September, the river was at 3 feet basically, and getting out in that is, unless you have a rock-proof jet boat, which my name's not Joe, so I don't have one of those. But yeah, unless you have one of those real nice boats, it's going to be really difficult. And the other part of it too is that I'm just not as experienced of a jet boat driver as some people are.
How hard was that for you to get used to? Because it's been 7 months that you've had the boat, right? Like, is that a different vibe
no,
to get used to?
We're a year in of having the boat. Yeah. So I know how to read current, right? Being a river fisherman, I know how to read current. I know what causes the current to do the things that I need, that it does. So for me, it's more or less just understanding the capabilities of the boat. And, you got to figure last year, when I bought the boat, I went out a whole mess of times where I was literally just out there driving it and just learning what it can do. And, even down to, okay, so the water's below 4 feet at the Harrisburg gauge. I'm only filling up with half a tank of gas. Right. I'm decreasing the amount of tackle because I'm trying to make the boat lighter. I'm trying to make it draft less. I'm trying to make it a little faster, make it get on plane quicker, redistributing the weight in the boat, that kind of stuff. But, I would like to think that I'm a pretty smart guy, and I don't push the limit yet because of the experience. But as I get the experience and understand more of the boat and what it's capable of, then maybe I'll start pushing the limits a little bit. But
well, you're also not 18, or you get a brand new boat if you yeet this one onto an island. You know what I mean? So I think with experience, you're like, it's not worth the transom. Or
I got that fucking insurance, so excuse my French, but
does that even work anymore in 2026 as we're getting close to?
Listen, if the river stays at 3 feet for the rest of my life, we're gonna find out. I promise you.
Oh my gosh. I mean, and that's the thing.
I will say this. Listen, I will say I got to talk about this because one of the best things that I did for my boat was put on one of the top notch UHMW jet foots, because dude, I've beat the life out of that thing over the last year, and I'm certain that if I would have had the stock jet foot on there, I would have cracked it, because I mean, there's one way to learn, and that's doing it. So, and I've been doing it. So putting that top-notch jet foot on there was a very, very smart investment.
What was the biggest thing that, besides the hot foot, that you've made adjustment-wise to your boat? I mean, you have the Ultrex on there, spot lock. Did you put on that plastic casing on the bottom or anything like that?
So my boat came with the K5.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So the guy that I bought the boat from, he had put the K5 on there, and like there wasn't even a scratch in it whenever I got it from him. I don't think he ever hit a rock with it. But I have. So, yeah.
Dude, I mean, welcome to the jet boat family. I mean, it's different, but you're keeping your kid involved, and you have a fun guide service. And when is the 1 year anniversary? Is that coming up for your guide service?
So the 1 year anniversary of the guide service will be April 1st.
April 1st.
Yeah, I didn't start guiding until the spring, because I wanted to take the winter and the fall and the winter to basically learn the boat. I didn't want to buy the boat and then immediately start guiding out of it, because I felt that would have been irresponsible to do with clients. Someone's trusting their safety with me as the navigator of that boat. And if I'm out there learning how to navigate that boat with them on it, I'm putting them at risk. And depending on who you ask, some might say that I'm still putting them at risk because I only have a certain amount of experience with it. But I think the learning curve was just already knowing the current and knowing the river. That's the other thing too. I know the river. I know spots that I'm not going to attempt. I know water levels that I'm not going to attempt. So as long as I'm making those safety conscious decisions and staying away from areas that I don't think that I'm capable of yet, I'm not going to put someone at risk. So
how important is gauge reading, and how do you do that depending on where the gauge is and where you're going to launch from?
So it's incredibly important. It's important as far as even take away the levels. It's important depending on where they get rain and what areas of the river basin get rain. Like I know if the upper part of the state in New York get rain, that in 2 to 3 days we're going to get a little spike, right? I know that if the west side of the river gets rain, understanding how there's more creeks that dump in over on that side, it's probably going to rise a little quicker, right? If the east side of the river gets the rain, it may not rise as quick because you're waiting for all of the ground to drain out because there's not as many creeks. So, understanding that and, just been fishing this river now for the last 10 years and just understanding what gauges, what levels of what gauge and how it fishes and stuff like that. That's all been a huge help to make this process a lot quicker. What I used to be able to do in a kayak was that my favorite time, not really my favorite, but one of the best times in a kayak to go out on the river is when it was at 3 feet or, around 3 feet, because that meant nobody else was out there and I didn't have to see anybody else out there. Now it's like I'm asking for 3.5 to 4, because I think the river fishes the best, like the best overall fishing in this river, I feel was somewhere between 3.8, 3.9 and like 5.2, somewhere in between those, that gauge, which is it's for the, for what this river is, that's a pretty large gap there. But, somewhere in between that is where I think this river fishes the best. I think when it gets above 5.5, I think a lot of kayakers are kept off the river because if they don't have a motor or if they're just in a pedal drive, 5.5 foot at the Harrisburg gauge is a lot of current. It's a lot, and so I mean, my favorite river level is like right around 4.5. 4.5. If you get 4.5 in the summertime, those grass islands light off like crazy.
This year's been freaking weird, at least in my neck of the woods, because I know like the Upper Potomac event you guys put on was postponed because it flooded from freaking April till like late June. It just wouldn't stop raining, and then all of a sudden it just never rained again. You guys didn't get any of that rain though, right? Like none of that.
We got some of the rain in the spring, but I think we had one or two times where it got to like close to action stage. But the rain that we got was not. It didn't seem like it was as much as what you guys got down there. Mm-hmm. It was a pretty easygoing spring. I feel like there wasn't a lot of like ups and downs. Like there was some that you would expect, but Like, there's been springs where it's like way up and way down. You like those sound effects?
Yeah, very good.
Yeah. But, it's, I think that we needed this spring. I think we needed a nice, easygoing spring because these fish, I think that they had I think they had a terrible situation happen where we had a rise. If I'm not mistaken, this spring, we had a significant rise right as those first wave of fish went on beds. And I think it pushed everything back a little bit. I think that first wave of fish went on beds. They felt the rise. I think they came off of beds and took refuge. And then I think when they were ready to spawn, that second wave was coming up and they're like, we'll pump the brakes. Can't do this. And I think there was a period of time where the river had very few fish in it because a lot of them were in the tribs.
Yeah. And now we're back to full drought. And I don't know if we're ever going to be able to get back up there. And let me rephrase that. We will eventually, but right now, weather-wise, it doesn't look like it's happening anytime soon.
Yeah, I was really excited whenever I saw the hurricane forecasts.
Yeah,
I was like, "Yeah, buddy, let's get it going. Give me like 5 to 6 inches of rain widespread across the river basin. Hell yeah, I would love to see the river at like 11 feet one time this fall.
One time would be nice. I mean, with that said, how has the river been fishing? Have you or any of your friends been out?
So I haven't been out as much. I did have a couple guide trips so far, and I'll be honest with you. One guide trip that I took out was probably the worst day of fishing that I've ever experienced on this river. It was bluebird sunny skies. There was not even a slight little bit of wind. I got back to the boat ramp with my clients, and another prominent guide had gotten back to the boat ramp with his clients around the same time. And between the two boats, I think we had maybe like 20 to 30 fish, which is just not good for us, not up here. And, I think there wasn't much in terms to speak of with size, but a lot of that isn't necessarily dictated by how the river's fishing, more so of what areas we can get to, because there's some areas of the river that are fishing extremely well. There's fish ladders that are fishing extremely well. There's low head dams that are fishing extremely well. There's other areas that you can get to in a kayak that you can't get to in a boat that are
sneaky places.
Well. Yeah. So,
because I mean, you look at like the what did it happen, guys? I have my notes somewhere. Hold on a second. The Juniata, with that event, like 90+ inches, like, and I felt for some reason like that was like I was expecting like closer to 100-ish. Like, so would you say?
So that 100 number is possible in the fall, or I'm sorry, in the spring. Like if you go up in the Juniata in the springtime, it's different because you get a lot of migrating fish, and there's a large amount of 20-inch fish that migrate into that river to spawn. So on top of that, you have the resident fish that are also there. So I believe that 100-inch number is capable of being produced in the spring there. Summertime, those fish are too spread out. And I think another thing that happens in the Juniata in the summertime is those fish get so dirt shallow. Like they'll either get super, super shallow and get in the shade, and then like you have a hard time attacking them, because if they're that shallow, you're on the Juniata, you might be walking through 100 yards of, ankle deep water to get to those fish. That's and so you're going to spook them, right? Like they're going to know that you're coming, and they're going to know that you're there, and they're going to bounce. The other thing that makes the Juniata really hard in the summertime is that the grass beds in the Juniata are typically prolific. Like you go down through the center of that river, and the grass beds are just like, they're so thick, and like you know, it's low and clear, but you might be in like 5 feet of water in the middle channel, and then there's just like these thick, real thick, wavy grass beds that are just, you know, down the river. You see the grass, and then every once in a while you'll see a break in the grass bed, and you're like, oh hey, there's 3 of the biggest fish I've ever seen in my life.
That's so
And
cool.
that's where
That
they
sounds
go.
like a neat place. Oh,
It is. Listen, man, the Juniata River Valley has some amazing fishing opportunities, and you can go to the Juniata in the summertime, and you can catch 100 fish, but 85 to 90 of those fish are going to be under 14 inches. But you can catch the shit out of them, and the reason why you can catch the shit out of them is because it's such a amazing spawning hub. I mean, those fish, once they come to life, they're not going to immediately migrate down to the main river. They don't even know the main river's there, right?
how much migration? I mean, as an Upper Potomac guy, the fish there are insane. How much they'll move from Great Falls all the way up to the confluence area. Do you have that on the Susquehanna River? Or are they more just area-ish kind of fish?
I would love to tag some of these fish, because if we could tag some of these fish, I think there's some people that will agree with me, and there's some that'll tell me that I'm batshit crazy. I don't think it's out of the question for these fish to migrate 60 to 80 miles. It just depends on where they're coming from and what's available whenever they get to where they're trying to go. But I think, I'm trying not to give too much juice away here, but I believe that the fish that migrate to some of the tributaries from the Susquehanna River, I think that they push the resident fish of those tributaries further up. So you see a migration that's further and further and further and further than you expect.
But that's more of a seasonal spawn thing versus bait orientated, right? Or is it?
Oh yeah, no, it's spawn related.
Okay.
The Susquehanna has so much bait, whether it's crawfish or baitfish or other microorganisms. There is enough bait in the Susquehanna that those fish don't need to leave. The reason they leave, the reason that they go, is because, one, I think the Juniata River is a lot cleaner river system.
I agree with that.
It's a lot cleaner of a river, and I think it has a lot better spawning habitat than the Susquehanna has. One thing about the Susquehanna is, it's huge, right? It's a mile wide in some places, and there might be a lot of area out there that looks like that there could be, fish spawning there. But I think that the fish that would use that for spawning area are typically going to be juvenile spawners, or not they're not going to be mature fish. I think your most mature fish are going to the areas where they know that the current's going to be lighter, the water's going to be cleaner, they're going to be less affected by predators, they're going to be less affected by pressure, they're going to be less affected by a lot of things. And I think they go to those areas with the sole intent of being successful in the spawn.
Yeah, like on the Upper Potomac, we do have a we have a seasonal migration based on spawn, but we have fish that just chase bait all year. It's the wildest thing that you can go out in one area and there's bait everywhere, there's fish, and then 2 days later there's not a single group of bait fish, and then they're gone and they're 30 miles up. It's wild.
I don't believe that there's a migration that follows bait in this river, because there's so much bait in this river that they don't need to follow anything.
And they can't really do that because of the dams too. But I guess you have the fish ladders.
I mean, there's only a few dams that would prohibit that. maybe in the lower Susquehanna there's more, but I'm primarily talking about from, York Haven up to Sunbury. If you go from the York Haven Dam to the Sunbury Inflatable Dam, there's only two natural, or not natural, but there's only two man-made blockages in that route.
Okay.
So
this time of year, then, would this be considered fall, winter transition? Because I remember I had Mr. Gorsuch on, like, was it 4 years ago now, and he said something interesting. Is like, it's like December feels like fall now. Like, a lot of times it doesn't fish like winter, and I feel like November is kind of that way too.
I think that's seasonal, right? So I think that if we would have continued to experience 30-degree nights like we did in October, if we would continue to experience that, for a long period of time, I think November is going to feel like winter. But, we had a cold snap there in October. I mean, even August, honestly, even August was pretty cold towards the end of it. It was like, the hell is going on here, But for August, at least. But, I think we had that cold snap there in October, and I think that made those fish kind of like, hey, like, the daylight's not getting incredibly shorter yet, but it's cold. We should probably start doing something. And I think that maybe they may have started the fall feed up maybe just a little bit earlier. I can tell you they're doing a little bit of that now. I mean, boys and girls are out there eating some big stuff right now.
What is the size of the bait right now on the average when we talk about bait fish, not the crayfish? Because I saw like the Jeff's Instagram today, yesterday, all the days blur. But the shit that you guys throw there, I mean, everyone knows about Maggies and the big glides and stuff, but it seems very Susquehanna-y because, again, people in the comment section will kill me. You can try it on the Shenandoah and Upper Potomac. You won't have the same success ratio as the Susky. And I wonder how much that has to do with the size of the forage that they chase too.
Well, it's a bigger ecosystem, right? So these bait fish are naturally going to get a little bit bigger. Because they got more roam, they got more space to roam. Like, what is it like if you put a fish inside of a fish tank, right, inside of a bowl, it's never going to get bigger than that bowl allows it to get, right? So I think it's same consideration that with the bait fish here, they get a lot more area, a lot more space to grow, and a lot more forage for them. So they're naturally going to get a little bit bigger. I've caught smallmouth here on baits as big as like swim baits that are 8 inches long. I know guys that have caught smallmouth here on 12-inch swim baits. There's not really a limit. Like, if they can fit it in their mouth, like, honestly, sometimes I think to myself, like, smallmouth would be the perfect girlfriend, because if they can fit it in their mouth, they're going to put it there. You know what I mean?
That should get clipped.
What are you laughing at?
For your
what
website.
Are you laughing at?
That should get clipped for your website when a mother like clicks on your guide service.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
God.
I know that's going to be a soundbite for one of your shorts, though. So you're welcome.
It might be a soundbite. Don't worry, I'll tag you in it. Don't worry, so you can share the love.
That's fine. I'll share it.
Do they ever key in on crayfish, or is it 100% like minnows?
No, they eat crayfish more than they eat baitfish. It's just not as fun to fish it for me.
Agreed. Not the whole Jeff Little like llama tube that's an inch long.
We're gonna throw out this 1/2-inch tube, and we're gonna wait for it. We're gonna wait for it to hit the bottom. It's never gonna hit the fucking bottom. Like in a 2-foot river, that 1/2-inch bait is never gonna hit the bottom. It's just not gonna. Yeah.
You guys need to shoot an episode on your boat. Like, you need to help him out. Get the views.
Listen, so I did. He texted me tonight. He sent me some reel of when your buddy stops kayak fishing and buys a boat. And I told him when I watched the reel and I laughed at it, I was like, you're more than welcome to come out on my boat and shoot a jerkbait video this spring or this winter if you'd like. Jeff and I haven't fished together since the spring, and honestly, we need to do that.
Jeff, if you're listening, make that happen. So I got some other things I want to talk to you about first, but guys, just for you all to recap, fishing report is river needs to come up a little bit. Water temperatures are not cold enough yet.
Well, I mean, I think you're summarizing a little over. I think the river's fishing good right now. I just think that you have to have the right equipment to get to where they're at, and we could use a little bit more water.
If you had to pick one bait right now that you can talk about,
I don't keep a whole lot of secrets when it comes to that kind of stuff, because most of the time I just feel like I'm going to fish baits a lot differently than most people. But if I had to pick one bait right now, you said, hey, Jake, this is the only thing you can take out. I'm taking a magdraft or some variation of a magdraft, 6-inch magdraft.
Oh, you're going with the 6-inch, not the Tyrese 12-inch.
We're not. No, we're not doing a 12-inch. I want to catch more than one fish. But no, I feel like that 6-inch magdraft is honestly baits. And I say magdraft, I think there's better options than the magdraft, for a lot of different reasons. But
that's the name for that genre there. Like the chatterbait is the name basically for the genre, so to speak.
Right. Yeah. I mean, everybody knows what a magdraft is, right? Well, everybody I think should know what it is, but, I think the 6-inch is kind of like the perfect size for them right now. It's something that they can easily chase down. And then, one thing about these fish, whenever they eat the magdraft, a lot of people miss magdraft fish. And this is an issue with the magdraft. One of the reasons why it's not my favorite version of this bait, but they chase it down, they grab it by the tail, and that's when everyone's like, boom, set the hook, right? But there's no fucking hook back there, okay? All you did was pull the bait out of their mouth. So they'll chase it down, they'll grab the tail, and then they like to flip it in their mouth. Like they flip it around so they can eat it head first. You got to wait for them. Like when they come up and jam it, you can't just cross their fucking eyes at that moment. You have to give them a second. And it doesn't take them long. But if you're quick on the trigger and they come up and eat it, you're like, oh, I missed it. This bait sucks. No, you're just a dumbass.
Oh my God. There you guys have it. The bait, how it's going out there. A lot's been going on in the world of fishing, the kayaking industry. Going from the least, yeah, it's been fun. Let's go with the least crazy. Hobie being bought by Johnny Morris. Fuck me. It's that's weird. It feels weird. I'm glad it won't die, but it just also feels weird that the massive corporation just bought up another one.
So my thought process on that is I think it's good. I think it's all around good for Hobie boats. We're going to move production back to the United States of America. Fantastic. Great idea. They moved it to Mexico and everything went to shit. So I love to see that manufacturing is coming back to America. I love to see that an American company bought it. What I hope does not happen is I hope that they don't take those boats out of the dealerships. Because if you take those boats out of the grassroots dealerships, you're hurting the grassroots dealerships. And that's where this monopoly comes in with a company like Johnny Morris buying the biggest brand of kayak that you can buy. So if Hobies are the most sought after and most sold boat, and now Johnny Morris bought them, if they make it where you can only buy those at a Bass Pro Shops or a Cabela's, that really sucks for these smaller companies like a Delaware Paddle Sports. And I don't look at Delaware Paddle Sports as a smaller company. I'll tell you this. I think if Delaware Paddle Sports lost Hobie tomorrow, I think they would survive. But there's not many places like them, right? So, it sucks to see some of these maybe mom and pop, grassroots shops that could potentially lose that dealer status for that brand of boat that they may or may not have made their entire living off of, right? That sucks. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that happen. But I do think for the brand of Hobie and for my friends that work for Hobie, I think it's a good thing. I think that their job security is now a lot, they feel a lot better about it. And I think that the manufacturing is going to be better. I think that they're going to have less R&D issues, maybe not R&D, but less QC issues, I should say.
Is it a really long off dream to think like something like the Hobie series will come back?
I think kayak fishing as a competition is going to die within the next 10 years.
Oh, well, why do you think that?
Partially one of the reasons why I got out of it, man. With technology, people are finding new ways to cheat, and they're I don't want to say they're undetectable, but without having a marshal or having another set of eyes or a camera on you, it's so easy to push the boundary, push the limit. Maybe whether you're fishing in an area that you shouldn't be fishing, or whether you're launching at a launch that's not legal, or whether you are out there catching fish and putting them in a cage and then going back the next day and going to your cage and getting them out. There's no way to police that. And the more money that we keep handing out at these events, the more likely it is that someone is going to take that chance of whether or not they'll get caught. Because when $10,000 is on the line and someone's like, man, I could go out here and catch fish the day before and tie them up. They'll still be alive. You take them out and put them in a cage, they're still going to be alive. They might not be healthy, but they're going to be alive, right? It's like live welling a fish. But my point is, I think with the mass amounts of money that's being handed out in kayak fishing, unless there is a method or a way to have eyes on every angler that's out there competing, I believe kayak fishing from a competitive aspect on the national level, at least, is going to die. I think your grassroots trails that aren't paying out tens of thousands of dollars, I think they're going to be okay. But I don't think the national level is going to survive.
And that's interesting, because I would counter by saying reverse of grassroots will die before the big leagues, because if you cheat in a Bassmaster event, you have to be very much a sociopath or a psychopath, because if you get caught, you're completely screwed. Versus grassroots, like, you could probably cheat in 6 or 7 events and not raise a flag. But if it's a Bassmaster event, there's a lot of eyes on you, man. But
it hasn't stopped people. It hasn't.
True.
I mean, every year there's a couple people that get caught cheating. And then every year there's a couple people that do things that don't get held accountable for. So, that's, to me, that's a black eye. And I think there's a lot of honest people out there that are seeing that. And honestly, I think those people are kind of stepping back. But, dude, like,
it's frustrating. I mean, especially with the technology. I think it was the Toledo Bend event where somebody photoshopped or used AI on a fish. A month or a change ago. But I think the system worked because he got caught before the tournament was over.
He did.
A person eyes were on it. Therefore, I think
you think he's the first person. You think he's the first person?
No, I don't think he's the first person.
That's my point. I think that, like I said, I think the more and more money that you're handing out in these events, the more and more you either need to have a marshal, you either need to have a live stream camera, or you need to have some other safeguard than angler integrity, because angler integrity obviously is not working. We've seen it here on the local scale. We've seen it on a local scale where angler integrity was shit. They were caught, and the angler's attitude about it was still shit. So, we've seen like the absolute worst of the worst right here at home.
Well, and people are still doing the whole like fish traps too. Like there's a couple of fish traps found on Smith Mountain Lake, I believe it was. Comment section, you can help me out if it was Smith Mountain Lake, but and then again with Boyd Duggett's brilliant freaking retarded rule with co-anglers policing the boaters, like there's going to be so many things filed after events and complaints. Like I don't know. I don't know how much of it is. I don't know.
I really just don't see. I don't see how kayak fishing can survive with paying out the money that they're paying out and having that that ability to cheat and get away with it. Everyone's eventually going to get caught, right? So you're eventually going to get caught, but how many times do you cheat before you get caught?
Well,
and when that happens, right? Every time it happens, that's a black eye.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? So, you know what you don't see on the Elite Series? Okay, yeah, maybe somebody's getting information. Maybe somebody fished in an area that was a propagation area and they weren't allowed to be in it. And they get a penalty, right? I don't really necessarily look at that as cheating if it was an honest mistake.
Well, it's the difference in baseball of a balk or an interference versus, stealing signals, Bill Belichick style.
If an angler's going out and saying, hey, give me some information on this river system, that angler's a cheater. But if an angler's standing there and someone's like, oh, yeah, over there. Like, I get it. They shouldn't have been maybe involved in that conversation, but they also can't control what this person said. That's not cheating.
Yeah. I agree.
But, there's penalties in place for that. But what I see happening is, I see people who are just see dollar signs. And I don't even think it's necessarily dollar signs either, because it's not like it's life-changing money. $10,000 is not life-changing. I promise you, if you give me $10,000 tomorrow, I can spend that in a day, right? Like I could go buy some shit. But I think the other issue is that, you get these clout seekers, right? The ones that are out there fishing for likes and fishing for people to like them. I think that's another downfall of it that makes people not want to participate in it. But that's your new crop, right? The people that affects is the new crop. The new people are looking at it like, oh man, this guy's a real asshole, or this guy's really arrogant, or this guy did X, Y, and Z. Why would I want to fish it? I think it affects your new crop of anglers when that happens. That's all fine and dandy for the old heads, the experienced ones. But if you are down to 30 old heads that have a separate income from the industry, whether it be sponsors or whatever else, those 30 are not going to make up a $10,000 payday. So if you only have those 30, like if it dwindles down and you get to that point, I don't know. I just think competitive kayak fishing is done within 10 years.
Well, what you mentioned there is, I think this is where all bass fishing going, because bass fishing is not a sport. It's NASCAR. You get a couple of paid drivers because a corporate sponsor, and that's what it is. So I think there will be always a professional trail, just like in the boat world, but it might just be 30 that are all backed by sponsors, and that's it. And they run their races for the year to promote product, and then you call it a day.
Right.
Is that really a competition at that point? I don't know. Like, it's not pure like football.
Gotta have such a vault of information up here that I can't talk about.
Do a book when you die. Hashtag he didn't Epson didn't kill himself.
if I do a book whenever I die, my family's going to be very disappointed and embarrassed.
Or they'll retire quite well.
No, I don't know, man. I don't know. It sucks because it's something that was so fun, something that was such a team building type of camaraderie, friendship type of thing. But you know, all that friendship bullshit goes out the window when you're fishing for $10,000+.
Oh, yeah, and that's with boats too. And I agree. I could see a world where kayak fishing goes down. The problem is the alternative is buying a $150,000 bass boat. Kayaking for better or worse.
Kayak fishing itself is not going to die because it's.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's cost effective because to get a fully rigged out kayak nowadays, you're still looking at about $5,000.
How much is a rock proof?
A lot more. You know, you're looking at 60, 70 grand, but the reality is that kayak fishing is never going to die because this is one thing I've always said about kayak fishing. The greatest thing about kayak fishing is everybody can do it. The worst thing about kayak fishing is everyone can do it. Like that's fact. You know?
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you remember a number of years ago, like there was this young man, and I think he may have been mentally handicapped. So I don't want to make fun of him.
Jesus, great way to start the story out.
No, but listen, like he took his kayak and he fucking drilled holes in the bottom of it and put caster wheels on it. It was like, look, I made an easy method of moving my kayak. We're all like, what did you do here? What happens when that gets caught on a rock or a branch, or what happens whenever you're wheeling it down the ramp and you hit a bump and it fucking rips the bottom of your kayak off? Like, you obviously didn't think this one through, right? So that comes back to the point that the greatest thing about kayak fishing is that everyone can do it. The worst thing about kayak fishing is that everyone can do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect case in point. Like,
and as long as people have a sport, they will try to compete, and there will be money, and there will be cheating. It's just the way it is. But
I think we need to have like divisions in kayak fishing. Like you have your elite anglers, which is probably like 30 to 50 people in the country. And then you have like your good run of the mill anglers, which may be 100 to 200 anglers. And then you have like your novice anglers who they're just coming out to learn and meet people and see the people that they watch on YouTube, and all mostly for the most part genuine good people. And then you have, you know, your cheaters that will fish in areas that they're not allowed to cheat, you know, not allowed to fish. And you'll have, you know, where they're doing things that they're not supposed to be doing. And I think you should have different classes. And if you want to cheat, if you are a confirmed cheater, I think you should get lumped into a sack of shit bags with everybody else that cheats. And you guys should all fish against each other. That way you're all cheating.
I think there also should be a league that's just shut to the public. For example, it's like I bring this up about Steve Camp, who runs the Elite 70 team and then Alpha Series single. You got to pay up front. You can't jackpot. You have to sign up for all the events if you want to be a part of it. The Bassmaster Elite Series is that way. And I think there needs to be leagues like that where it's like you can't jackpot. It's 100% you fish the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, man, I hope I'm wrong. Like, I hope I'm wrong about the shit that I think. But I just look at the direction it's going, and there's way more honest people than there are dishonest people. But right now, there's enough dishonest people to keep honest people from fishing.
Yeah, and I think that will hurt it. Guys, let me know down below in the comments section. Like, I just feel like the bass boat side is just so expensive. Like, if you want to be a competitive angler, it's the cheapest route. And so kayak fishing goes away. Does it mean you can migrate to, a brand new Icon boat for $200,000 or whatever? So I don't know. We'll see.
I can't wait till Icon makes a jet boat.
It's going to happen. I mean, I still think, me and Bass Geek think the next generation will be plastic boats. They'll be bigger than kayaks, smaller than like 18 foot.
Have you seen the Woolridge?
The jet kayak?
No.
Yeah.
No. You're talking about the jet kayak. I'm talking about Woolridge, who is a famous jet boat company out in the Pacific Northwest. They made an HDPE jet boat. It is a plastic jet boat, and they've put 150 horsepower, 150 105s on the back of it. Like, I have been eyeing that boat for a number of months now since it came out, thinking to myself, like, I want to see these things in operation. I want to hear the stories. I want to know what people are doing with these boats, because you give me a whole ass boat made out of HDPE. You give me a boat that's made out of that. That's basically a big ass kayak that's going 30, 40 miles an hour. Well, the cool thing about it is if I gouge the shit out of the bottom of it, climb under the fucking boat, and I can weld it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get some welding rods and do all that jazz. Like, maybe it's not that easy, but it's a lot easier than me taking it to a metal fabricator and having him fix it. You know what I mean? Like, shameless plug, if anybody needs their metal boat fixed, Trey Leach from Innovative Sportsman can absolutely do that for you.
Trey, I will call you back, by the way. Sorry, boss. Got busy. You're in the rotation, dude. Go check out Trey, man. He does just everything. Cannot say enough about him. He is the guy. And honestly, you think about it, every single person in kayak fishing uses his product, which is pretty crazy. Anyone has a little Trey in them, has a little Trey on their stuff. I'm going to rephrase that. But anyway, yeah. Like, his product is everywhere.
Honestly, it's so well deserved, though. You're not going to find a better human being.
Mm-hmm.
I'm biased because he's my friend, but I'm gonna tell you that he's probably the best father, best husband, and hardest working person that I've ever met in my life. High praise, because it's deserved. And with those three things being said, he's also probably the best friend that anyone could ask for. I've never seen him act out of anger. I've seen him angry, but I've never seen him act out of anger. I act out of anger multiple times a day. So I don't understand how he operates in that wavelength. But you're not going to find a better human being than Trey Leach.
He's a generation that's gone. Old school farmer, working with hands kind of thing vibe. It's like you don't get a lot of those people anymore, sadly.
Right.
Now we're going to pivot to something. Do you think Bass's kayak series is going to fail? Because I think it's not going to work out. My gut tells me that.
Man, because I have friends and acquaintances in that series, I hope
fair enough.
I hope it does not. But just because I'm friends or acquaintances with people doesn't mean I'm going to not voice my opinion. I think it still comes down to the whole thing within the next 5 to 10 years. I think kayak fishing on a competitive national level, I think, dies. I think there's only going to be so many instances of Bass saying, well, there was 5 confirmed cheaters this year. Or there's, I don't know if you remember, but the first couple of years of Bassmaster, like, the Angler of the Year was in question whether or not he did things correctly. And then he opened up his own series because they made rules against what he did. So, I think that, you have a lot of black eyes that are happening. Right. And I think, Bassmaster eventually is going to have the shits of it and say, like, why the hell are we even doing this? Why are we, putting dirt on our name just to give these people a platform?
The problem, Bass's name can't get any dirtier, so let's just not fucking mess around that they're freaking some priests and nuns over there. The difference in the boating world,
Bass,
when things happen,
is
they just
Bass
go,
as dirty as that mustache you have? Like,
no, nothing. Nothing is more
you
dirty
look
than
like
this.
you just crawled out from underneath of a bridge on the Potomac River.
I do. I look like somebody that you give a grilled cheese to, and we go watch it like WWE for real.
I'm sorry, that was rough.
Guys, No Shave November does not work for me. I look like some kind of guy that owns a van. That is 100% for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not as dour on it. I'm dour on all of it in general, not just one section, because I think the bass boat thing is pricing itself out, and it's a bleep show there. But the problem is the cult of personality around bass is so great. They could kill people over there, and you'll have half the people that are like, it's okay, bass does nothing wrong. So I don't know.
I don't know, man. So from the beginning, here's what I'll say from the beginning, right? When Bassmaster first rolled out the series, the first event that they ever had was at Logan Martin. And it was like, I think at the time was the highest attended. Well, listen, let me rephrase. Chad Hoover had the KBF National Championship, and there was like 700-800 people one year. I don't count KBF. The only event in KBF I think that even remotely matters is the 10. So KBF, whatever. Thank you for starting kayak bass fishing, Chad. You were a pioneer. Whatever. When Hobie came out with their series, and then Bassmaster later came out with their series, the first event that Bassmaster ever had was at Logan Martin. And at the time, it was like the highest attended event that kayak fishing had seen outside of the KBF bullshit. So it was great. It was a fantastic, run first event. Steve Owens was at the helm of it. Steve runs a great tournament. Steve is for the most part, a fantastic tournament director. And then Bassmaster was like, we don't want Steve to run tournaments. And then they hired somebody else to do it. And then that person tried to employ bass boat fishing mentality to kayak fishing.
Shocking.
And, well, it didn't really work out. So I think they had it. They think they had like a year or two of that before they're like, hey, Steve, you want to come run this again? And Steve has now made it exponentially better than it was from whenever that clown, who I don't forget his name, but like I listened to him on a podcast and I'm like, this is the most condescending piece of shit I've ever, had the opportunity to listen to my entire life. But, Steve took it over and made it 30 times better. But we still have issues. And there's not necessarily Steve's fault, but there's still issues within Bassmaster. There were issues within Hobie too.
Mm-hmm.
Hobie, honestly, the most prestigious championship to win in Hobie was the Hobie Tournament of Champions whenever they were still human powered only.
Mm-hmm.
That was the greatest thing about Hobie. When Hobie and Bassmaster were both on the scene competing with each other, the greatest thing was that Bassmaster allowed motors and Hobie didn't. And you had two different entities that were doing two different things but doing the same thing. And then Hobie started getting pressured because, attendance is going down. And more people are going to fish Bassmaster because of motors. I think that's where Hobie was like, had a couple years of it and like, why the hell are we doing this? We're not making money off of this. Hobie wasn't making money off of the BOS. They were selling boats based on the BOS whenever it was human powered only. But guess what? Now you allow motors. I don't have to go buy a $6,000 Hobie. I can go buy a $2,000 new canoe and throw a motor on it and be just as effective as that person in that Hobie Pro Angler. So I think that they saw the decrease in boat sales, which ultimately led to their demise.
And the payouts though were just always so much better in the heyday of Hobie versus Bass. But it's also this
Yeah, because
weird,
Bass is. Oh man, don't even get me started on that. Don't
well,
even
this
get
is
me.
a part of it too, and this doesn't have to be for this episode, but that's another part of it too. Is I am not, and you guys know this, by blood, I am not kayak first. I grew up in boats and stuff, but even as an outsider to kayak fishing, even though I'm getting more and more into it, Hobie was pure kayak. It was kayak anglers by a kayak organization. And this is this weird feeling. I have it. This is my opinion for everyone listening. It just feels weird, like it's a boat centric organization running a kayak event. And it's always associated as this like little boat being tugged behind the Bassmaster Classic. And I at least get that weird feeling. Like it just doesn't feel like, I don't know. It's a weird feeling, I guess.
Well, the other part of it though too is that, and this was, you know, one of the reasons why Hobie was so prestigious. If you made it to the Tournament of Champions, you fucking earned it. You didn't just luck upon a Tournament of the Champions spot. Like whenever it was 50 per year, and you know they took the top 3 from each event, and then they filled the rest in by points. You had to do something to earn that spot. The Bassmaster Classic on the kayak side, it's a downscaled KBF National Championship. You got states that are sending people to the Bassmaster Classic because they qualified at the state level, and their state might only have like freaking 8 or 9 anglers. Give me a break. That's bullshit. That person didn't qualify for anything. They're only going there to be payout structure.
Well, and that's the thing. It's about like, well, this tournament had 10,000 people in it. It's like, great. But if your qualification for the tournament was a letter saying, congratulations, your last name starts with A, you get an invitation. That's not really prestigious. And if you're going to have a prestigious event, that means you're going to have to narrow it down to 30, 40, 50, whatever of the best. And I don't feel like that's the financial strategy they want to do with boat tournaments or kayak tournaments anymore.
I just, it's getting to a point where, you know, the qualification is watered down. I don't think that Bassmaster will ever have something commensurate to the Hobie Tournament of Champions. Anybody that has won the Hobie Tournament of Champions, they did something. Like they achieved something. They beat everybody. They beat the best of the best, and everyone had to qualify to get there. Qualifying to get there was an achievement of its own. Like that's not just something that it meant something. And you know, the Bassmaster Classic, it doesn't mean anything. To me, it doesn't mean anything. Now, some other people are going to argue, and they're going to say that I'm an asshole, and they're going to say that I'm a little bit arrogant, and they're going to say X, Y, and Z. I don't care. I'm right. You don't have to earn your way into the Bassmaster Classic. You can go and get in one of these states that just send, and a lot of times they'll be like, oh, hey, our first place angler is already qualified because he fished on a national trail, so we're going to roll it down to the next ones. That's not how you qualify for a championship. That's not how that should work. And I think anybody that qualifies at the state level should have to qualify at a regional level. You shouldn't just be able to go directly from your state and go directly to the Bassmaster Classic for the kayak side. That's trash. But my opinions are like assholes. Mine stinks sometimes.
Such an uplifting way to kind of settle things down.
You were getting me on no sleep today. So if you want the most cynical, pessimistic person in the world, the last time that I had my eyes closed sleeping was 2 p.m. yesterday. Okay? Like 2 p.m. yesterday. I woke up at 2 p.m. yesterday. I worked last night. I got the boat ready for my guide trip today or tomorrow because I have a guide trip tomorrow. I have been busy all day. I've worked all day. This guide bullshit is not glorious. Okay. I don't know who thought this was like a great idea, a get rich quick scheme. It's not. It's work. Like there's for work and there's after work. Like you have to put in work before it, and then you also have to do shit afterwards. Like, and then on top of that, you know, you like fishing in a tournament. Oh, I got to go out and catch 5 fish. Okay. When you got to get out and take 2 people and get them on each of them on 10, 20 fish, you want to talk about pressure? That's pressure. Like That's pressure. Because then at the end of the day, if you don't get them on that, you're like, well, hey, G, man, I'm sorry. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and as they're handing you money. So, you know, this guide is, it's, if you do it right, it's work, right? If you're out there guiding to give somebody an experience, it's work. If you're guiding to go out there and just pay your boat payment, you're probably not working. You're probably just, hey, bring your own fishing rods and show up and we'll go fishing. And then you give me some money at the end of the day. Like, that's not how I'm doing it. I'm doing it and where you come here and you don't have to bring nothing but your smiling face. I don't even care if you wear clothes. You can come in your underwear, Thomas.
So if people want to book a trip with you in the nude or watch you just work, how would they do that? And do you have any more trips available?
I only have 2 dates available for the rest of the year. So November, tell you what those are. Let me pull the calendar up. So November 10th and November 19th are the only 2 days that I have left for the rest of the year. I am not guiding past November 30th. I will be non-operational for December, January, and February. Mostly December because it's the holidays, and January and February because it's cold. And I can't guarantee you if you book a trip in January or February that there won't be ice on the river. So I'm not going to do that. So I only have 2 dates, the 10th and 19th, left for the rest of the year. So,
well, at least you shoot straight when it comes to hating cold weather.
Listen, man, it's
across the board.
Like, you know, I know we're over the hour, but to me, going on a guided fishing trip is you're going for the experience. And why in the hell would I want to take you out and be miserable? Because it's cold, because it's windy, because it's freezing cold. Like, I don't want to do that. That's not the experience that I want you to have. You know, I want you to have an experience where you're coming out here catching 20, 30 fish. I don't want you to be out there, you know, freezing your fingertips off and holding on to hand warmers and taping body warmers to your body just to stay warm and holding pee all day because you don't want to have exposed skin out in, you know, sub 30 degree temperatures. Like, that's not, to me, that's not the experience that I want you to have. If you come to me and beg me and say, Jake, what is it called? A masochist? Isn't that the ones that like to be punished? Like,
yes.
Jake, I'm a masochist,
BDSM.
right? I would love for you to take me out in the freezing cold temperatures so I can get frostbite and have a red nose for 3 days and to say that I caught 3 fish that day. I would love
Jeff.
to do that. That would be Jeff. And I'll take Jeff fishing in January if he wants to go fishing. Reluctantly, I will put on my cold weather gear and take him fishing. Jeff Little will not pay me for that trip because he's my friend, right? He is one of my best friends. Like, so, but we'll do that to put ourselves through our own little pain. But I can't see charging somebody money to go out and be miserable. Like, you would have to absolutely beg me to go be miserable on the river. But yeah, to find out how to get in contact with me, if you still want to get in contact with me after this podcast, chocolatetownriverguide.com.
Oh.
I live in Hershey, Pennsylvania. If you
the happiest place on earth.
It's the sweetest place on earth. It's certainly not the happiest because I live here, but no, it's chocolate.
He took a marketing class, guys.
Listen, man, I am not going to bullshit you. Like, you are getting the worst version of me today. So I go to vote today. Listen, today's election day, and I go to vote today. And I just gotten off work, and I met my wife at the polling station. And we're walking in, and she's just chipper as can be. She's baking the shit out of it because she's never that chipper at home. So here she is walking into the polling station, and people are like, hey, good morning. She's like, hey, good morning. And I'm just like, I ignore them. Like, I hear them. Like I do the dad thing, you know, where it's like Like the kids are talking, but you don't hear shit. That's what I did to these people standing outside the poll station. I almost did it to the guy that asked me my name to give me my ballot. And I did it on the way out. And she's like, aren't you just a bundle of joy this morning? And I'm like, no, like you need to get better at ignoring people. Like just ignore them. Like more often than not, they're trying to sell you something or tell you something that you don't want to hear anyway. So just ignore them and then you don't have to worry about it. Right? I don't know.
It's that simple.
Worst version of Jake is tired Jake.
Guys, we're gonna get Jake back on in December when he's full of holiday cheer for a
holiday cheer
here.
I will wear a Santa's hat.
There you go. And then I am working to eventually get Trey, Jeff, and Jake in the room together somehow to a fireside chat. That would break the internet. Someday, 2026, that's my New Year's resolution, because that would be fun.
We are going to give Jeff Little an aneurysm if we do that.
I think that would be good for TV. I really do. You guys,
I think so.
Just to hear you guys talk about different topics would probably be phenomenal. That aren't probably fishing related. Oh my God. Guys, I'm going to put a link in the episode description, everything we talked about. Chocolate Town, USA, I believe, because I'm trying to read through his head about the whole title. But yeah, go check him out. As always, he's got a couple of dates left. Chocolate Town River Guide Service, LLC. Like, subscribe to the channel. If you want guys, go check me out on Patreon, because you guys are paying my mortgage right now while I look for a job. And we'll see you guys next time on Fishing the DMV. Bye. You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Ahrens. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.